right. Happy Sunday. Something was totally on my eye there for a second. Where's everyone tuning in from? Did you have a good weekend? Hopefully a really good Thanksgiving. This might be a bit too much light for me. Hold on. Don't want something flashing in my face. See, a little bit of light's fine, but not a ton, right? Jeez. That's better. Boston, South Chicago. Nice. I drove through South Chicago to get here. Driving through Chicago is like something you should only do once in a lifetime, my friends. Once in a lifetime. Right? For those of us not used to it, we were like, what is this about? I am nice and relaxed, aka exhausted. But I really wanted to come to you today to talk about some of the cosmic energy themes. I'm going to give you a December 2023 cosmic energy update, and then we're going to look a little bit throughout the world at some predictions coming through from my favorite spirit guide team, the Galactic Council of Nine. Yep, 9 beings who assist in all of this. So yeah, I skated today and did my first unassisted 3-turn. And it was so beautiful. So I thought I would do it again. Fell on my butt. As soon as I was checking out, as soon as I checked out, lifted that other leg, it was like, woo-hoo-hoo-hoo, bye. On the butt we go. And that was fun, but I just kept doing it. Then eventually I stopped falling, and that was a lot of fun. So that happened today. Spirals got deeper today. Yeah. Then I came home and did my off ice program and then stretching and the stretches. Oh, I am not a flexy person. I'm a strong person, but learning to get flexible is a tough one. Are any of you guys in flexibility programs? Because you will need not just physical flexibility, but a little bit more dexterity in the mind to manage the cosmic energy that's coming through for the December energies and for the solstice. This solstice, from my last YouTube and update from the council, that it's going to be a doozy. That's how they described it when I asked. They said the solstice is going to be a doozy. People acting crazy, right? So the council has advised me to move with this energy and to trust the fullness of your mind and body, to trust and know how to energize yourself, both physically, psychologically, and spiritually, to know what makes you tick. We have to feel, if we want to feel freedom, one of the things we need as we move into this winter solstice of 2023 is to be able to know how to nourish and nurture our minds and bodies, know what actually nourishes us, and know how to fill yourself up. Know how to fill yourself up with energy when you feel low, right? No matter how low you feel, you're going to need that. And that's something that I just spent 7 hours teaching a masterclass about just yesterday. Yeah. And one of the things that the being that we were channeling, Anna, grandmother of Jesus, came through and she gave an invocation, and I'm going to give it to you. It is, I am free to move with fullness and energy. I am the holy understanding which Trinity activates. I wanted to share that with you today. Use those invocations as you head into the solstice, something advised by my spirit team, because the council says this particular solstice is a time when we need to remove energies that don't serve, but people don't want to let those energies that don't serve go, and they're holding on to those energies really, really tightly as they leave. and they're not really wanting to let them leave. So we have a lot of, you know, a lot of greedy, privileged people kind of just crashing in the public domain. That's one of the predictions I wanted to talk about in governmental systems in the US and Canada. There are some very greedy, privileged people that just need to get out of the system. And it's like a burnout energy in two world leaders. I haven't had a prediction like this in at least 10 years. Two world leaders having a major burnout mode at the same time between December and January. So one of them just saying, you know what, I'm not doing this anymore. A major Republican American figure saying, you know what, I can't do this anymore. And he says, I can't, I don't feel full with this. It's draining me. It's burning me out. I'm getting threats to my life. So he burns out. I didn't expect that. I didn't suspect that. Didn't suspect that he would not have the energy to move forward. So there's that, a major American Republican figure in the political realm. Okay, so another thing that people are moving into is kind of like the law of opposites in the cosmic energy theme going into the winter solstice this month. So a lot of people understanding about acceptance. Radical acceptance is a major cosmic energy theme for this solstice of December, because this time last year in the solstice, people were saying we were in a place of wanting to come through with empowerment and saying, you know what, these are the things I will not accept, and I will work in my family, in my community. I will work every way possible to try to change very difficult things, in both religious and political realms, healthcare realms, so many things going on this time last year. This year, people were saying, okay, and now I am understanding how to radically accept that which I cannot change in my own life and that which I can. Radically accept the things that I need to do to perpetuate change and to become ultimately spiritually and psychologically responsible for enacting my own change instead of reenacting problem after problem after problem that keeps me stuck in a situation. I am enacting my own change. Now that is powerful. That's a powerful theme, as opposed to people waiting to manifest something different, waiting on life to show up for them, waiting on their guides to give them signs, waiting to say, okay, when will I feel better? When will I get more money? When will I get resources to make a change? People are coming together and individually to say, you know what, there's some things that I actually can change. And it doesn't mean there's anything wrong with me. There's some things that I can change, and I'm going to be accountable for changing those things. That's different. That's way different than where we were this time last year in the solstice. Okay. People just kind of really accepting, okay, these are the places in my life where God has a plan for me and it's difficult, but I know to leave that alone. Right? As opposed to blaming myself for my body doing something that I don't want it to do, or my health not being where I want it to be, or being let go of a job. People are learning to look within and say, okay, but source has a plan for me that I couldn't possibly know. And the best thing to do is to radically accept that, trust that, lean into my form, the form of my mind, my psychological form, and the form of the soul itself. And the soul, when it connects you, it gives you an awareness that's even deeper than your mind and your body, but also goes into your mind and body so that your mind and body can go along. So you'll have a lot less panic attacks. People who suffer from anxiety will suffer less, as we go into this solstice. But people who are hanging on to things that don't serve, there's an anger. There's a really deep fear-based anger that people have. And it's still showing up primarily in the road systems in the States and Canada. I was driving home from the rink today. It's a good, 30-minute drive or so. And There was 2 people in front of me with their emergency lights on. But the person behind me was beeping and, flashing his lights at me and going nuts and eventually he just passed me and then he recognized that there were 2 people in front of me with their emergency lights on, right? We are going through emergency times. I asked my counsel in that moment, I said, what's this about? Like, they know I can't go anywhere, right? And the council said, "Oh, that's a metaphor for what's going on in the world right now. Basically, people are on a trajectory where they have to go at a slow, steady pace to build fortitude, to build trust in their form, both mentally, physically, and at the soul level. People have to take a slow, steady as she goes pace right now in their lives, but they don't want to. So if you're getting in their way, they will trip over themselves to run you over." So that was really, really interesting. And that's everywhere. Like, that's at work, that shows up in the family, that shows up in friendships. It's like, okay, I'll plow you over to get to where I need to go because I don't understand grace and I don't understand the energy of slowing down and letting my soul take the lead so that my mind and my body follow along appropriately and gracefully, right? People are struggling with that right now. Okay. Um, One of the major world predictions coming through about that struggle has to do with Korea, North Korea, South Korea. Makes me really, really sad because I feel this innocent energy in South Korea right now coming out, this really deep goodness in the overall collective, this sweetness, this wonder, that's getting stronger and stronger. And then simultaneously, North Korea does not have anything to do with it. So there's a major problem there that almost quite literally does a blow up. And then there's like okay, let's pause. Not a peace treaty, but I'd call it a pause treaty. They obviously will have different words in our governments for that, but there will be a treaty that says, okay, let's all take a break from even having to think about peace right now. Let's do something where we don't want to be at war with each other for this next short amount of time. And they give a longer short amount of time. That makes sense. The last short amount of time was only, a few days, maybe months. This time they want to go on like a 6-month hiatus of trying to kill each other. So that's great news. I cannot say the same for Palestine and Israel. When I took a deep look at that, I got some interesting cards. So I brought my oracle cards along with me again today to see if the same energies wanted to come up again. All right. But it was a real, okay, we're going into peace. And then as a matter of fact, we hate each other again. And then we're going to peace and then we hate each other again. Like in succession, like 4 times of that. Yes, we're going to stop. And then no, we're not. Yes, we're going to stop. And then no, we're not. All over the course of the next 40 days. So I would like to kind of call in the council again a little bit more deeply with the karmic and dharmic oracle decks and see what comes up again. Yeah, same thing. I'll tell you, 4 out of 6 of these cards were the exact same thing that came up for me when I pulled on it just yesterday. So we start out with a major peace blessing that comes across around December the 13th. I got the numbers 1213 when looking at this in my oracle visions. And then it was like we got the lone wolf card in the karmic placement when you get an oracle card upside down. I got this card yesterday as well. It's that one country won't let the other country be alone to explore their own soul, to explore their spirit, to explore their freedom. And they just won't leave them alone, literally. And then it was like, we have this veil card in the karmic position saying that there is still a veil. It's trying to be lifted. It's still there, but they're trying to lift it together, but there isn't enough divine connection, practical intuition, not enough discernment of the bigger picture between the two countries to really formulate a truce anytime soon. But they do formulate a pause for a while, and a longer pause than usual. A longer pause than usual. And it could be as long as 5 to 6 months if those numbers are coming through accurately with the council when they do decide to stop going back and forth. Yes, we'll stop. No, we won't in January. We will relook at that and see how the alignment has changed for North Korea, South Korea in January. We'll look at it again. There is a lot less, there's a lot more intolerance, particularly in, certain communities who have belief systems, like the Christian community versus the homosexual community as a whole, like the LGBTQ plus. It's all a mess this month. It's like there's so much intolerance, and not just from this white privileged generally Christian side over here. I'm just going to call it as it is, who doesn't understand that they have been privileged, particularly male. There's like a male construct in this, and religious backgrounds that I'm seeing a lot of this kind of against the LGBT community. And then the LGBT community this month comes forth and says, hey, we're tired of this incidence prevalence problem. We're tired of you telling us, okay, we're trying to push gender issues onto our kids. We're trying to make our kids, you push our agenda onto our kids, or make our kids gay, or make our kids change their gender and stuff like that. There's like a big battle coming up over the solstice between the straight community and particularly white male, Christian, religiously privileged white male communities and LGBTQI+. And that's very disconcerting, but because not just because they're going again and misunderstanding, it's like there's this energy of, hey, you're trying to change our kids, leave. We understand you want to be yourselves, but don't put it upon the kids, right? Yes and no. There is only a small percentage of parents who are actually telling their kids it's okay to get a sex change or to not be the gender that you're born with. So the incidence of that is like a small percentage. And then online on social media, there are these exacerbations of that prevalence, and people saying, well, actually it's more often, it happened in my school, and people just kind of getting these anecdotal stories when it's only a few parents who are actually even okay with that, right? We're not okay with that. So it's like these deep misunderstandings and these wars between two groups still going on all throughout December. And there are 2 riots, one in the UK and one in the US in the upper Northeast about this. And it has to do with our school systems. And it's just so much coming up with that kind of stuff, throughout December, well into mid-January. And some of the solstice and like the holidays and the energy of the holidays brings that out, that intolerance on both sides. So that's one side. But then the LGBTQI+ community comes back and they start incredible riots and things that I don't typically see that. So it's like I'm not just going off on that particular, like the white privileged Republican Christian male community. It's also the response to the LGBTQI communities about this, whatever this is this month and next, is terrible. It's terrible. It's like they're tired of getting blamed, so they start these incredible looting and rioting scenes. And it's like it's started by those communities, and people do get hurt. So those are some negative things coming in relation to the energy of intolerance that's going on. So we need to send a lot of powerful prayers for unity that we can all invoke the grace of patience individually. If everyone else chose more tolerance of each other, no matter what group you represent, no matter if you're straight or gay, no matter if you're Republican or liberal, no matter, how you vote or if you vote, no matter what you believe, that would be super, because we're trying to, this solstice is about releasing the need for being right. This particular solstice has to do with the energy of feeling disempowered and then turning that power over onto other people in order to be right, because we think we're right. So when we ask for the grace of patience to unite us, and we begin to remove attachment to control and to admit that love matters more than being right, then we can shift and possibly shift these visions that I saw, particularly in Canada and in the northeastern United States. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So a lot here. Dubai, there is some sort of an outbreak coming, and it had to do with the gut and attacking the internal lining of the gut and bleeding on the stomach. And it comes through, starting in restaurants and airlines, and it's going to ground you. It's going to ground you from flight for about, I'd say about the numbers I'm getting are 412. I was trying to ask the council there for that could be up to 4 weeks, but I feel like it's more like a 4-day thing. And then people have to figure out what it is and how contagious it is. And people start spreading rumors and saying, oh, it's contagious through air and it's contagious through breath. It isn't. It's contagious through droplets, which is different than being contagious in breath. Could you, get something like that? Yeah. But it's like people get scared for, if I'm right here, 4 days to 4 weeks. And they might ground an airline or two in that area for 4 whole days. I got the numbers 412 on that for how long people will be grounded. And it's like just the Dubai area, and people are worried about it getting out, whatever it is. And there's some painful type of vomiting scenarios going on. And then when they find out what it is, they determine it's a lot less contagious than people believe. And then it's kind of a, oh, well, why were we so worried type of feeling. But initially people might say, oh, it's going to be the next COVID. It's not going to be the next COVID. Just calm down. It's a 4-day. Let us figure this out and wear a mask and possibly ground out and take some time off from work for a little while if you work in the airline industry, right? Yeah. There was water and an icy breakthrough. There is this weather advisory alert coming for late December, early January in New York. Now, New York, you're pretty prepared for snow, so I was surprised to see that one. In that particular vision that was coming through, it had to do with a lot of pipes breaking in major bank buildings and like having to shut down 2 major buildings having to do with finance and banking. The first one happens the 3rd week in December, and the second shutdown on that banking industry because of this weather advisory and the breaking of water, like ice. And it's like we need to break through in that industry. I think that's what Mother Earth is trying to tell us when those kind of things happen. And it's just a little bit of a, irony there. We need a breakthrough that we're not getting. So we have the words that the council gave me is icy breakthrough for upper New York, all the way out to the Hamptons. So I have a few friends out there. So if you're listening to this, you might want to take some heed there. Let's see. There's a big flood energy coming back towards the Bosnia area. I know you guys had some water just last year, but I got a lot of water landslide. It was like earth element and water element causing a landslide, earth and water working together. And a good 50 people die in this around the outskirts of Bosnia coming up in December. In the positive front, we do have an interesting array of energies coming through still in the extraterrestrial disclosure realm. And it's like, what do I know? Half my spirit guides are ETs, so I don't mind talking about weird stuff. But this is the type of weird that's undeniable as we head into January. So this was like most of the fun stuff for the month insofar as predictions come towards the end of December into mid-January. I got the numbers 1231 on this one, and I don't think we even have a 3-1 in this month, so that could mean something else. But either way, it's like I feel like the energy of it is the end of December into the first week of January, because I also got the numbers 1-1. There's an unfortunate like misunderstanding about this, and the American military tries to come in and shoot it. I know you guys aren't surprised. We see stuff in the skies. Spiritual people are like, yes, okay, we're not too surprised. Our response to it is like, yeah, okay, something's in the sky. Why are you guys so freaked out? What does the American military do? Try to shoot it down. So there are some interesting things because the craft does land and people see it, and then suddenly those people aren't talking anymore. It's very similar to, do you remember when some things landed in this little teenager in his dad's backyard around the Vegas area not too long ago, several months ago, and they landed and stuff, and suddenly there was like no proof, and then he was like, he took it back, and then he got scared, and then people were, yeah. So he didn't get disappeared, but he just shut down, and then he tried to take it back. In this case, coming up with the disclosures of the landing that's coming, it's an Arcturian landing, and I haven't seen Arcturians attempt a landing. They typically are pretty hands-off. So it's an Arcturian system of beings coming through, an Arcturian ship. And then it's just gone. There was evidence, people saw it, and then all the people that saw it are just not talking anymore and nowhere to be found. There's like 4 different people, and it's crazy. So why would we want not, especially it's an Arcturian craft. It's not even the typical Alpha Draconi craft or gray craft or something that's sort of like, yeah, we know that, but it's a different type of being. Why are they coming here? The council expresses to us that they were coming with medicines, but their ship got crashed, and people saw it. People saw something crash their ship, and then suddenly people were talking everywhere, all over the internet, and then they stopped talking, and no one knows what happened to them and where they get, blah blah blah, that kind of thing. Where? I didn't ask. I should. It was around, there's one in Washington and one in Oregon. There's 2 different incidents that are very similar. I don't know why I didn't ask. This one came out just yesterday, I think, so I didn't have time to ask the where on that. But Washington State and Oregon, 2 different incidents coming up for December and January for that. We'll check back in January to talk about it. Yeah, and again, spiritual people are sort of like, yeah, so what? Like, there are beings in the air. But we do get upset to perceive like stuff being held back from visibility. Yeah. Insofar as the fungus in hospitals, there is something that you should be concerned about coming up. This is around the northern Michigan hospitals, way northern Michigan, like right before you go into the Upper Peninsula. So right up there around Traverse is the area of the hospitals that you need to be avoiding. So when I asked about that, because people had been seeing it, other seers had been noticing it as well, that doctors have been telling them there might be something going around. I asked the council. They said that's actually true. That rumor is actually true, and people are trying not to talk about it or alarm you, but there is a rather unidentified fungus that's been going around the hospitals in the north. So that's New Jersey, lower New York, upper Michigan, and lower Canada. It's there already. Yeah, and yeah, it can be contagious if you go to the hospital and then in your homes thereafter. Yep. Yeah, you're going to have not so many crazy earthquakes this month. Someone asked about California. Let me pull out my Karma Dharma cards on that, because I just want to double check, because I didn't get any visions or dreams about this for December with California. So you might be getting a break. Okay. The biggest problems that California has for the month of December is something that many school boards in many counties are talking about in relation to children who don't feel nourished, children who are coming from very difficult environments, right? And this, I don't want to call it a law, but something that school boards in the county come up with, where instead of blaming those kids, trying to understand why bullying happens. So the school system is where that's going to be where most of the things happening. But instead of saying, okay, let's try to understand where the bullying happens from the side of the victim and the side of the bully, what they say is both of you are in trouble. And several school systems are accepting it, stricter systems in terms of, if there's fighting and bullies, pretty much everybody gets a timeout from school and it goes on your permanent record. I didn't really like looking at that. And we got the reflection card in the karmic position, for that in California right now. The need for love and compassion is definitely there on both sides. And we need to change these contracts. The breach card comes up with the council saying they want to change what it currently looks like, but the change isn't good. Right. But I didn't see any dreams about water or earthquakes coming up for California in December. You pretty much are on break, the council says, with that. You'll have just small, uneventful ones right now. Nothing really to shout about or worry about. I'm opening up to questions, because that was the end of my visions that I've gotten for the month of December. And we already gave the primary part of the cosmic energy update. So now you can talk about anything you would like to for a few moments with me in chat and ask me any questions. India, let's see. I'm going to do an ancestral card pull. There's an interesting illness outbreak, but it's not a new illness. It's an outbreak of a very old, it's December is the month of gastrointestinal stuff for most people. So this is an old illness that most people thought, was gone, but they said it's an outbreak of cholera or something very similar to cholera. And it's we should have eliminated that with vaccines a long time ago, but there's something that acts like cholera or is cholera coming up and rearing its head. Lack of grounding, lack of clean water associated with a certain river. It's primarily Mumbai that has the beginning stages of that outbreak there. And a lot of people, we're getting all these cards in the karmic position upside down to show that'll cause a lot of unhappiness. There's a dormant aspect of the entire soul of India that is not really blooming right now. This is why this card shows up in the karmic positioning. It's people are trying to hold back the way that India grows. Australia, I will pull for you, but you primarily get a rest. You primarily get a rest for December. It's looking pretty good for the majority of Australia. I always ask about you. I have tons of friends and soul family there. Let's see what the council has to say. So everything came up in the dharmic positioning. So this is new growth in a positive way. You have healed from something, all the fires and things that were going on. It's like Australia gets a chance to heal and kind of, I get this vision of like having new skin, freshly new skin after being burned, right? And having freshly new skin on the country. Kind of thin skin. It's new, but it's promising. And see, the angels are helping after a long, hard time. And then we got the sacred phoenix heart coming up for the future, headed into January, rising from the ashes. Good times for Australia in December. And we'll keep an eye for January, but right now it's looking good then as well. Are light workers especially needed in California, Arizona, or Nevada? I think I want to do the ancestral pull on that one. The council says yes. Nevada needs a lot of help right now. Overall, it's like sort of like a liberal state trying to become a swing state, but they're not there yet. The energy's falling in like that. You need political help because things are shifting, but you're not there yet. There needs to be some purification in the political system, but you're not there yet. A lot of self-worth issues coming up for people in Nevada right now. Insofar as Arizona, you guys got the Dragon Rider card, which is like you are on a path. And you're on a path, a powerful path that came up in the dharmic positioning that you're exactly where you should be. But Nevada specifically is going through healing self-worth issues and purifying a very confused governmental complex. And that's like just the best way that I can put that. For those of you who are still with us right now, we're just taking some time to answer some questions. So if any of you have questions, I'll be here for another few minutes to answer those questions and field your questions to the council. I cannot believe you're asking me that question. That will get me the smackdown. I can't ask that. So I will just ask it without saying the word. Yeah. Is that going to be a little safer? Let's look at the karma and dharma of where that's going. That would be, for those of you in chat, that's Our Planet is the name of the user that, the username that gave that question. We have the perspective card in the karmic positioning, which shows that the perspective that we have on it isn't going to change. Some people love it, some people hate it, but ultimately speaking, it's still not trusted. The veil is lifting about things that were hidden, like truths about it, lack of testing, lack of so many things. Overall, most people are purifying their health on their own. We get the rain card, and the only dharmic card showing up in response to your question. So we get the rain card, and the council says people are purifying their bodies on their own, and learning that on their own. But for the people who choose that path, I can't say much. You just have to scroll up in chat. There's no rest given to the weary. And we get the divine love card upside down. It shows you don't trust your body. it's the practical intuition to be able to trust the body still isn't there, so people are still doing that, and, you need rest and purification of things you do on your own. But no, it's like when these particular type of card show, it's not, the answer would be no. I'm just trying to, it's hard to answer something that I'm not even supposed to be talking about, or I'll get the slap down from YouTube. Then they stop showing your videos and all that sort of stuff. Let's see. The Guyana and Venezuela dispute. Okay. The council says there's a lot of karma that's being healed in that, and it goes back for a very long time. Old karma, and two different countries expecting the other, like one expecting the other to respect them, but not actually dishing out that respect. I don't know much about the dispute, so hopefully that makes sense. What the council is saying to you. One country helping the other, and the other country being completely centered in their selfishness and being a little bit ungrateful about it. What these two countries needs are reverence, respect for each other, and being attentive to each other's needs. Okay. Let's see if this is going to resolve. Give us some time. There's not a lot of reflection about like people putting time into trying to resolve it. So I feel like this, when you get the sanctuary card in the dharmic positioning, the council's also saying, just give this a lot of time, where each people kind of like learn these difficult lessons on their own. Each country learns these lessons on their own. Okay. It's not really going well right now. The numbers that I'm getting on resolution doesn't look like anytime soon. They have a temporary resolution coming up the second week of January. If the numbers are accurate, I got the numbers 1-2. And then like it all heck breaks loose on the 23rd of January, specifically about the Guyana Venezuela dispute. And then it goes well into February, and they finally begin to end the dispute in those two countries. So we see the beginning of the end, but not until mid-February, 2-14. Very, very interesting. Is 2/14 Valentine's Day? I don't even know. That would be interesting if you end the dispute like that on that day. I don't like those kind of teachings. Somebody said that somebody on YouTube told her that for people who got that particular medicine, that they were told it would shorten their lifespan. And I feel that that teaching is a teaching that would disempower another person's personal choice. So I'm not touching that one, not with a 35-foot pole, because any teaching that says, okay, because you made a choice that you felt was right for yourself at the time, then you get punished. How can that teaching be of light? How? It's just something to think about, regardless of the fact that we all know that certain medicines in this country are not safe. How is it spiritually benevolent, helpful, or in the light to tell another person that their life, they're going to get a punishment, they're going to have their life shortened because they made a decision they thought at that time was best for themselves? Right? It's just not a loving teaching. True or not is aside from the point. It's not a loving or helpful or compassionate teaching, which, after all, isn't this what we're all here for? Love, compassion, being in light together, communicating and getting along? Is it not? So I'm not going to go there. Let's see. What do you mean by that? Someone help me. This user said, Zeke said, anything for don't say gay, Florida. I just said it. What does she mean? What does he mean by that? What am I missing? Sometimes I feel blissfully ignorant that I don't understand. Somebody fill me in. And I'm going to look at Florida. While somebody tells me what he means by that. Is it true though? Like, are people like anti-gay in Florida? Is that what you mean? Okay. Overall, Florida is relatively calm except for on the political front. On the political front. So we get lack of movement and action in the political realm with the whirling goddess in the karmic position. Okay. But then we get merciful divine mother coming in, Phoenix rising. We get these cards, and the messages I'm getting say that regardless of a lot of inactivity and people wanting political changes in Florida this month coming into December, um, there's like a people calm down around the holidays, typically in Florida. So then they go into, okay, we're going to learn to love each other. So that energy shifts and kind of there's a peaceful energy after about the second week of December in Florida. And weather doesn't look anything unlike it would in any other time of this year. So weather looks pretty mild in Florida for December and nothing really crazy there. Oh, is that what it is? Okay. Thank you for informing me. I did need to know that. Dawn says there's a bill that blocks LGBTQ teachings in the classroom. It's being labeled "Don't Say Gay." Okay, that's a completely different read. Let's pull out the Karma Dharma cards for that. Oh, thanks, Samantha. These are druidic cards, and I am a very nature-based person, so that's why I got them. Let's see. Blocking the teaching in the classroom. Let's look into that. Let's look into it in Florida and see how it's going to go. Not good. It doesn't pass. At first, it's like we get the Dharmic card saying, okay, we could get more harmony. Like the intention of doing that is to get more harmony if you bring LGBTQ teachings into the classroom. But the ancestors that hold Florida strong don't want that to happen. And there's a lack of flow in this bill being brought into fruition for Florida. But the shadow still lingers. It's like, despite the fact that the bill doesn't pass, people still aren't taking responsibility, and the collective shadow of lack of unity and the collective shadow of like gay hate there is still so strong. So there's no freedom on either side. And there wouldn't have been, even if they passed it, it would have blown up to where this card would have been like, we would have gotten even more lack of freedom cards. So the council says it's actually a good thing that doesn't pass right now, because that would have made the situation worse. It's not, there has to be another way. It's not, the council they're not pro-gay, anti-gay. They just feel that there's another way that we could be teaching LGBTQ other than the classroom. And that's just has always been their stance of it, is this belongs in the hands of parents and children themselves, not in a classroom. So anytime, there'll only be a couple states in the US that actually pass that bill, but it won't be Florida. And those will be some of the places where these riots and lootings happen as well. So that's kind of a sad thing, but it's not something that America in particular is ready for, and it's not really needed. These are things that parents and children will learn throughout life on their own. The educational system is for books and education and getting into college. It's not about our lifestyles and what we believe in and about our bodies in that way, right? What's going to happen in the future, but it's not soon. I've asked about this. I've had some of the same concerns as you have. And when I asked the council about like deep into the future, like 2025 and 2026, they specifically gave me some predictions that entailed like teaching something similar to that, but it wasn't LGBTQ teachings. It was equality teachings. That starts in 2025 and 2026. So that's like, okay, this is why bullying a gay person is wrong. This is the truth that it is okay, and you are going to see two mommies or two daddies. Those kind of teachings are going to come in schools, but not the type of teachings you're thinking about, sex stuff and sex education stuff. You won't. The few schools that will get that will have that taken from them very quickly throughout the course of between now and 2026, and the teaching shift into equality and understanding and different things coming up. Yeah, but not until 2025 and 2026. We'll keep looking at it. Maybe we can shift it, at least the part that does need to shift, which is the equality part, and just leave sex to the parents and the children themselves. And it's something that that's kind of what we need to do here. It's never been in the school. We don't have much sex education as it is. We have a little bit, and there will be some in 2026. I got visions of sex education teachings that were specifically geared towards people who feel that they don't have a gender, or people who are asexual, or people who they will have classes for those groups of children, specifically, and kind of pull them aside and say, okay, here's sex education and how it's different for you, versus like teaching sex education for a whole group of people that are very, very different. They begin to understand the differences in people and what they feel about sexuality, and then pull kids aside to teach them differently. Sort of like, how we view now that kids have different learning styles, right? It's a little bit like that, but even that doesn't go until 2025, 2026, according to the visions that I've been getting. Yeah. Okay, I can ask about that. Isabel wants to know if the president in Argentina will close the central bank. I'm going to see if the cards are corroborating what I'm getting as well. It's not in divine order, and it hadn't been in the past. This is coming up in the past position for him to do it, say, in the past, year or so. But then the universe comes up. That card comes up that it is more of a cosmic order over time for that particular central bank to be purified. So it's not a closure, but it is, what is the word you guys are using? It's a pause and then a reinstatement. It's like they're not really giving me words that would be banking oriented. So you bankers out there, just bear with me. You know how in a big company, when things kind of have to shift and they might lay a bunch of people off, right? And then they do that so that they can completely rearrange and create a new system. That's what's going to happen, but it doesn't happen in December. Yeah, it's not in December. It's right around the beginning of February is what the numbers they gave me. I got the numbers 221. So I think that could be like the second week on the 1st. Second week of February on the 1st. Or wait, that doesn't make sense. 221. Numbers are weird and I'm tired. February 221 could also be the 21st of February. Yeah. Or it could be the second week of February. GC, I don't understand your question. What are the good? Oh, I see what you mean. She said, what are good states to move? Like if you're looking to move for a new beginning. Well, let's see. The council says for a new beginning, particularly if you're spiritual minded, Arizona's opening up. But Arizona's going to have water problems as well. So it's like you have to take the good with the bad, because they have to begin to learn how to get water for themselves. Okay. So that's the problem that you face, but the spiritual mindedness, the openness is there. Um, oddly enough, a lot of people are moving to Connecticut and Tampa, Florida, and Wisconsin, as well as portions of like central and northern Michigan. So those are some interesting places to move to for a new beginning, according to the council. That would be for everybody. They tried to make that pretty general. Oregon it was like the thing for the last 10 years, but now they're saying Washington State is a really good idea. That Washington State is going in a better direction than it ever has before for people looking for a new beginning. All right. Medieval lady, I don't understand your question. Be more specific. Let's see. This next question. El Nino rains in the West this winter. West coast of Washington, Oregon, or California. Will it be a rainy winter? It will be a rainy winter. So for El Nino rains, the dreams that I primarily had was coming into Oregon, but Oregon needs it, and they're going to be happy for it. It's not going to be a damaging El Nino rain. It's going to be a lot more rain in Western Colorado than you've had in the past 3 El Ninos, and you need it, so it's not a damaging thing. Right? So those are the primary places where those rains are hitting, and also some portions of Oklahoma as well, although that's not west. We're getting a lot more rain in Oklahoma this winter, according to the council. When I've asked that question, Kathy Lee, about banks that could be safe to have an account with, typically they will give me unknown banks that are like credit unions, smaller credit unions. If you're in the States, that would be what's safe for the next 5 years. Yep. Oh, thanks, sis. My hair, it's called lazy hairstyle. Just got back from skating and working out and stuff. It's not it's not anything. I use a lot of like the Madison braids because my hair is actually short. So this actually isn't my hair, even though it looks like it. I was skating the other day with one of my other coaches, not my typical one, and it fell out while I was doing something. And she was like, "Oh, your hair?" She freaked out. It was so funny because it like fell onto the ice while I was doing some kind of turn or something. Ask that question more specifically. I did because I didn't. I can take a general peek at the housing market in Illinois for you, Diamond. I can do that, and then we'll go. Yeah, that's exactly it, Dawn. And then we'll go into looking at Ireland. Ireland doesn't get any breaks from rain this year. It's just raining and continuing to rain. The rain kind of dulls down about mid-January. Northern Ireland specifically has a very, very, very bad freeze. So those are kind of like some of the things that the council is saying with Ireland. They don't handle the solstice well. I know that. The energy there for Ireland is like there's interesting things with like semi-religious groups arguing, like not exactly religious groups, but sort of like advocacy groups. They're advocacy groups for certain human rights, 2 groups fighting against each other. That's coming up for December. And it's like overall, it's like Ireland is shifting, but they're getting some very hard wake-up calls in terms of what it means to have their strength taken from them and then to start all over again. Like Ireland's still recovering from that, So overall for December, the energy is people are working on personal healing, physical healing, and emotional healing. But there's this big miscommunication about how to calm down and go with the flow. So overall, it's like Ireland's still trying to heal, a big trauma, a big gaping trauma from a long time ago. So more rain, a big freeze up north, and people individually working on emotional and physical healing, but still not really going with the flow of their own emotions and not being connected to their own emotions. Oh, Siobhan, do you want me to turn the lights down? Is my lighting too bright? It's nighttime, so maybe that's why. And then we're going to look at Illinois, weren't we? The Illinois housing market. Let's ask the council about that really quickly. They're just going, it's not getting much better right now. And it's not worsening, thankfully, for December, which is really good. But people aren't finding the homes in the right areas with the people that they want to be around. They're not happy about the market and they're waiting on the market to get better. And they just need to buy a house now because it is not going to get better in the Illinois market, at least until January, according to the council. So it might be a really good idea to look at that, and just, yeah. Yeah, I'm probably is sweat from skating. I'll tell you what. It was a big day on the ice. And I liked it. Oh, thank you, Virginia. Yeah. I think the stretching was harder for me than the actual skating today. This new stretching program I'm on, it's like, what? You want me to what? I don't want my 50-year-old body doing that. I know I'm not 50 yet, but it still feels that way. When will the Louisiana housing market get better? Let's go directly into the soul contract cards for that one. I'm noticing a lot of the markets just holding or worsening. Have you noticed it? It's just something that council brought to my attention. Let's see with Louisiana. When is the housing market going to get better? Okay. Well, we got all great cards, but it's like a slow climb. We get the Resplendence card, Resplendence and Grace. There is a female governmental leader that is going to be working for changes in that for you coming up in statewide elections. And then she brings the market into a more fair oneness equality. When you get the oneness card, that's about equal, fair housing coming up, but not until right at the end of winter. You get like February on that. A lot of powerful changes, like big darkness, and then people are shifting into changes in January and February in particular. How will it go for the new Argentinian president who just got, I assume you mean elected, but you wrote ejected, which is very interesting because I got this image coming from a plane. Yeah, elected. Okay. Right. I mean, okay. What he's working with is so dense. A lot of dense energy there in Argentina right now that the council's saying that he's diligently trying to break through and to create equality. He's trying to put forth boundaries for women, for children in the workplace. He has some small celebrations coming up for him, but he's coming into this problem: lack of movement, lack of spiritual emergence, the suppression of women and children. And it's like he tries to put down boundaries, and he has one celebration regarding one positive thing happening regarding women and children's rights in the workplace coming up for March of next year. But then like they say yes to it, and then the boundary that he placed in the law isn't changed and his vision isn't honored, so he becomes uninspired. So when that happens, I want you guys to stand behind him. If you're seeing what I'm seeing, And if you feel it in your heart for someone, who wants to stand up for women and children but can't, it's like they kind of move him into a terrible place where they begin to kind of bastardize him and place blame on him. And he actually will make a positive change, and he will turn around and surprise everyone. You may be surprised, but he inevitably speaking, it doesn't work, and then people start blaming him and putting things on him, and it does not end up being like he becomes uninspired, and then he doesn't lead the country well from, like, after that one positive thing he does, the rest of his presidency is pretty bad. It's only one thing that he does that's good. So I hope that he doesn't lose inspiration. That's a good sight. But I think that he caves. The council is saying he caves to other people in charge who want him to be a more commanding presence and to want him to be more like they've always been. And he caves and he just does it, and he loses his inspiration. Yeah. Yeah, they just kinda get beat down by the system. Exactly, Dawn. Mhm. Um, Bluevine, do you wanna read on Bluevine? Bluevine is a financial technology company, not a bank for businesses. Okay. Is it okay to use with checking savings? Let's look at the karma and dharma of the company Bluevine. Ooh, not good so far. Let's ask the council while we continue to pull for any dharma cards. Mm, mm. It was a nice dream, they said. I went, "Oh, that was my initial response when they said that. It was a nice dream. It was a nice thought. Wasn't thought through." We get the reflection card and the karmic positioning, and then the karma of the company overall is like, they're not working together. The baseline of the company, the foundation of the company pulls from a confusing karma where people don't communicate well with each other. And then the people who use the product it will not work the way that the banks claim that it's going to work. So there will be no flow because of lack of communication in the foundation of the company itself. So not good news for Bluevine. Yeah, but you probably knew that. Yeah. Okay. All right. I think you accidentally got moderated there, Dawn. I'm not sure why, because your comment looked fine to me. It's probably just a misclick. Moderation from the phone is hard, so we give our moderators love. Anything coming up about AI? Let's see. For December, Musk is looking again at some new stage of testing for some failure that he had last year in Neuralink, and he wants to look at it again or look at it differently and get kind of like innocent eyes on it. I know that you asked about AI, and Neuralink is not exactly that. And actually, Musk is against AI, according to the council, but maybe you guys can go ask him personally. But overall, most of the projects in AI for December, it's like they don't work enough to maintain a clarity, and it's like they want you to have less responsibility and more flow, but ultimately speaking, then you disconnect from your grace. So most of the AI that's coming out and that people are using is similar to Chat GPT, and they're creating AIs that are being tested in December, according to the council, that basically become like a virtual assistant for you. They do your work for you. You know, they try to run your company, right? So there's a new type of AI that's like virtual assistant AI, and it's called like something VA, you're something VA. And I don't know the word they're saying there because I can't quite hear that message well, getting tired. But that might be something you want to do a double take, like look at that and just be like, you know what? Let me use my discernment on that. Let me meditate on it. Let me pray about it. Let me kind of ask my guidance about that, ask my soul, because the best customer service happens from humans. Just saying. There's certain things that AI are not going to be able to do, but there are a lot of testing in relations to virtual assistant AI coming up in December. And people are all over it. Especially small business owners are all over it because they don't want to pay a virtual assistant. But then in less than 6 months, those who are using it experience a major hacking incident. I got this vision last month and I forgot to share it with you. So I'm so glad you asked. This major hacking incident with something called your something VA, meaning virtual assistant. And it's an AI program where this robot just does all the things and you train it to do all the things that you would typically do in your small business, but it has a major hacking incident mid next year, spring to June of next year. And we'll keep looking at it because I don't deny that it doesn't do things, but then it leaks out a bunch of personal information like banking numbers and if you have a virtual assistant that's AI that's like depositing your checks and then you get hacked, it needs all your things. It needs your banking numbers. It needs your PIN numbers. It has all your stuff. So it's something that the council did not recommend. Yeah. hmm Yeah. Here you, Samantha said they have that now for customer service. A little annoying to talk to, and it cannot replace a person. It can't. We have that when we make phone calls these days, and you have to go through a whole automated press this for this, and one for this, and two for no. Speaking to the phone, I can't stand the speaking to the phone ones. You can tell I'm showing my age there. I'm like, no. If you ask me to speak, I'm going to say operator. So it's not really going in an incredible direction. The only good news that the council has given me about AI that's virtually unhackable is just that it's used in the medical industry insofar as the robotic arm, that they're using for heart transplants, for those longer 8-hour surgeries. Um, that they're getting some really wonderful assistance with AI for that. But that's not exactly the same type of AI, you know? All right. Be well out there. I'm going to close now. We've been at it for over an hour. I appreciate you so much. Thanks for coming to my channeling. And hopefully, I'll get a chance to see you. I'm going to try to stick to my programs on once on the weekend, once on Wednesdays. So hopefully, I'll see you on Wednesday. If not, maybe sooner. Who knows? See you soon. Have a good solstice. Bye.